Hi, I'm Claire Bula, a designer and part-time lecturer at Boston University. I saw this viral video a few years ago of a conflict between kids in a San Francisco neighborhood playing soccer in a public park and a group of tech bros that claimed they rented the field. You can see from the video stills that the man in the hat produces a regular sheet of paper and brandishes it like a shield or a stand-in for a cop, physically using it to try and make the kids surrender the field. Around this same time, I was running in the woods of Arizona and I saw this sign, which made me stop. It was the sign's foreignness in the forest and foreboding look that halted me like an invisible fence, even though there was nothing physically there. So, why did I feel guilty disregarding it and running on by? These two incidents got me thinking that there must be something about how a document or a sign looks that makes us feel subjugated. And if so, what is that visual language? Almost everyone knows this feeling. You get an envelope in the mail with stamped red lettering on the outside and open it to see a seal at the top and lots of bold black letter type. It looks official and scary, but then you realize it's just junk mail expressly designed to make you panic. Humans have always recorded transactions, ownerships, and rights. And with the invention of paper, these became portable documents, necessitating a means for confirming them as real. Historical methods of proving authenticity were physical, involving fanciful hand calligraphy, carved stamps, and wax seals, ribbons, and intricate patterning work. Today's versions of these former physical structures are now printed in digital reproductions, stickers, and even silly icons. But they're rooted in a visual language of veracity, that what you see in the document is backed by some sort of sovereignty. Today, we see this visual language employed by myriad organizations, whether or not they're actually backed by an authority. Here are three very real and three very fake. I found a whole online market for this stuff diplomas. At first glance, they look very much the same because they employ a visual language we recognize as a diploma, a seal, often in gold or metallic, embossed into paper, fancy black letter type, heavyweight text, and multiple signatures. So, back to these signs. I kept running into them while I was out and about in nature, and it really started annoying me. I mean, who has the right to close nature anyway? These signs were trying to blend into the landscape, but to me, they stuck out like a sore thumb. So I started designing signage in response. Starting from the graphical structure and formatting of national parks and forestry signage, I reframed them through language, typeface, and color choices to subvert their authoritative dominance over the land. To emphasize this point, I started placing my designs back into my original photos for comparison. But that wasn't really packing enough punch, and I didn't know how to activate them any further. So I decided to alter the production methodology and amp up the color by printing them on risograph and changing even more of the language and formatting. Riso printing changed the whole look and feel of this subversive signage. It definitely stands out and starts to look fun and inviting. That led me to try reintegrating it into its original context of the forest and photographing it to see what it felt like. It almost felt more natural to have a sign try to stand out than to blend in. And as I worked on the project, I kept thinking about how this simple signage reveals the stark contrast between Western colonial attitudes towards land, focusing on it as chattel to be an asset to be owned and possessed, which contrasts dramatically with the Native American view of land as something to be stewarded and cared for future generations, something you pass through and live with instead of dominate and live on. At this point, I began looking at documents that verify and define my life diplomas, IDs, licenses, permits, passports, as well as a box of documents that were my late father's. Sidebar, it's weird how you can define a life through documents, but that nowhere near explains it. I analyzed documents that range from official to novelty. So, this is my dad's architecture license, super official, backed by the state, many academic, practical, and requirements. You have to serve years in apprenticeship and sit for multiple exams to earn it. It has two seals, stylized large serif typeface, a certificate number, and multiple ratifying signatures. These next documents are merit badges from the Boy Scouts of America. They don't carry any political authority, but you do have to demonstrate mastery to earn them. So there's some value beyond simply novelty to these documents. They share a similar visual language to the license. Emblems for the achievement level, seals, title, and rank in bold type, multiple ratifying signatures. Finally, This stock certificate is for one share of the Green Bay Packers, totally novelty, not backed by any legal or political authority, not traded on an exchange, and not saleable. Again, a similar visual language to what we've seen in other documents. Seals, fancy typeface, intricate decorative border design, and multiple ratifying signatures. Through surveying multiple documents, I created this diagram, which is not exhaustive, but helped me get my head around the elements of the system and visualize how it interacts with materiality, content, and document types. I designed this following poster in conjunction with my visual essay on this topic for my current design writing fellowship with the AIGA and for exhibition at the 2022 National Conference. To reduce an over 50-page essay into a single concept poster, I had to use inspiration from Joanna Drucker's Graphesis and Owen Jones' The Grammar of Ornament. I started working on an encyclopedic style inventory of element, which resulted in this Frankendoc. All the elements you see are supposed to exude power and authority, and some of them really carry serious heft. You can see my badge from being an attorney general in the upper left. But the more I added, the more it felt like these elements lost visual dominance and seemed meaningless, kind of like putting on all your good jewelry at once. It is interesting to look at them together and see all the similarities in the icons, type treatments, etc. It demonstrates the consistency of the visual language, even in a small sample size. So the other day, I was listening to the Trojan Horse Affair podcast, recommend, and this conversation reminded me that differences in context, organization, and presentation of information can alter perception. So I'm thinking of how to explore making banal information seem sinister and vice versa. We also have to acknowledge this system has been employed by certain groups, especially through colonialism, to establish their dominance in ways that were exploitative, avaricious, discriminatory, and cruel. And this system has been leveraged to steal land, resources, wealth, and power. I thought this was funny, and maybe Ron's permit from Parks and Rec is another project idea. Like, how little information can you put on paper and still have it hold authority? In this process, I've developed a lot more questions than answers, so I'll leave you with some. What does visual authority look like in a digital age when documentation is no longer physical? Can visual authority be reappropriated? How can design create power, especially for underrepresented populations? And what is or has been design's role in perpetuating traditionally unbalanced power structures? And what could be design's role in dismantling them? Thank you.